Some legends are told, some turn to dust or to gold, but you will remember me for centuries. Just one mistake is all it will take. We'll go down in history. Remember me for centuries.
And you know what day it is. It's Thursday, and you are listening to WMBG Sports Roundup. My name is Brian Hill. Have my main man in the studio.
I'm back.
You are, but I was going to say Tim, but anyway, hey, Adam, how you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in the studios in Williamsburg, and we're having a great time. If you need to talk to us, email us, WMBGsports@gmail.com. We will answer any question. We are looking for a radio upgrade to allow us to take in call-ins. When is that happening, Adam? All right.
Hopefully sometime soon.
I said all right as we move on. As we move on. But ladies and gentlemen, today, once again, we have a special guest. We are trying to get as many folks on our show, and we have I don't know how to introduce you because you did a political thing. So I guess I will introduce you as the former delegate, Monty Mason, who is running for the Senate. Monty Mason.
Close. I'm the current delegate, but still running for Senate. Yeah.
Okay, but you have stated that you are now no longer the delegate because of the. Help me out because I'm not savvy with the political process here.
We can just call him the man.
Yeah, well, or Monty. How's that? Let's go with. I decided to resign effective November 21st because that's the day the November 8th elections will be certified. So if successful in the Senate, I'd be certified as in the Senate that day. But what it does is affords the 93rd district the opportunity to have 65-70% of the people vote for my successor rather than 4 or 5% that would likely vote in an early January election.
Understood. So let me redo this. Adam, I got to redo this.
Okay.
I want to welcome the current delegate, Monty Mason, to our show. And Monty, I just want to say I do appreciate this. You know, you talked a little smack about me back in the day about who was listening, and I said to Monty, I said, it'd be great to get you on the show. And lo and behold, I do want to say thank you.
I'm happy. I appreciate the invite.
Well,
I can't believe the masses of people lined up on the sidewalk outside.
Did you see them? You'll see them.
Brian Hill sign.
Yeah.
They didn't look happy though.
You better clear that with the city police next time. That's James City County stuff. We don't go for that here in the city.
Well, you're in Williamsburg.
Yeah, that's right.
Bring your own security.
Well, I did get a call from the city manager, and I was letting them know that I was coming in with my motorcade. He did clear the streets for me.
Marvin's a good man.
So we have you on our sports show. This is a sports show. Adam and I has started this about 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah. It was an offshoot of the James City County 15-minute or moment.
Yeah.
Now we have 5 supervisors in James City County that are actively participating in the 15-minute segment. I felt like I was the 6th wheel, so I just moved to the right.
He couldn't be outshined.
I like it.
He couldn't be outshined.
Well, I can be outshined. I can be outshined any time of the day. You in these blazing saddles categories. We're going to talk a little later.
Wow.
We're going to talk a little later.
That up.
So, Delegate Mason, tell me what is your favorite sport? Because that's the topic we're going to go off on.
My favorite professional sport?
Doesn't matter.
I think my favorite sport my whole life has been baseball.
Baseball.
And probably the one that today I know the least about. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
As an adult, I've started to watch and pay more attention to college and professional football, I think. But growing up, played baseball all my life, but played a year at William & Mary.
Okay.
So I'd have to say baseball is my...
So did you play with Doug Powell? Were you in that era where Doug was there?
Doug and I are the same. We were classmates.
So tell me something. Can Doug Powell, who is the JCSA general manager, he doesn't look like he can hit a baseball.
You're really aiming for something in this one.
I got this one.
I can't speak for Doug, but it turned out I couldn't hit a college baseball, so I can't. No reason for me to give Doug a hard time. Something about that curveball in college looked a lot tougher.
But you are right. You know, growing up, played baseball. All up until high school, kind of transitioned to football. And then, you know, as you get older, I think that I watch less baseball and more football. I still love going to the games, though.
Yeah.
There's nothing like going on a Friday night or a Saturday night baseball game under the lights and just the crowd. And, I mean, football is great, don't get me wrong, but there's something magic about walking into a baseball stadium.
I just want to make sure that everybody understands before this show is over, we will be talking Ohio something, okay? So just get ready
I don't
for
know
it.
what you're talking about,
All right.
but did you hear Montavious Monk? Or, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
This is where my wife would say, "Go Bucks." So
Yeah,
not-
okay.
not a
Hey, look,
problem.
and it didn't even come from me.
Not
High
even a-
five, right
not-
there
not
it
a
is.
problem in my
See, look at
house.
that.
So you say baseball is your favorite sport. What was your favorite team?
Growing up, 74, 5, 6 Reds, the famous Reds.
So the Big Red Machine.
Big Red Machine.
Okay, so that's, you know, Pete Rose and
Davey Concepcion.
and
Morgan.
at first base was Perez and Morgan. And I got to tell you a little known fact.
All right.
About 4 years ago, it's about 4 years ago. I was doing some commentary for the Little League or the Dixie World Series down in South Carolina, and I needed a speaker. And I got to speak the first person to hit a home run as a DH in the World Series, who was a Red. I guarantee not many people know his name.
I have no idea.
But when I say his name, you're going to say, oh, yeah, Dan Dreesen.
Really?
Yeah.
Danny Dreesen?
Dan Dreesen is born and bred in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and he did a opening ceremony for these 12 and under kids that were Dixie Youth Baseball, and I had the opportunity, obviously, to introduce him, and I got to tell you how I got him on the show. Okay?
Nice.
Here you go. Ready? My mom is from the West Indies, and we had a aunt that lived in the Bahamas, and I met a professional baseball player called Ed Armbruster,
Okay.
who played for the Reds on that team.
Wow.
And I went to Mr. Dreesen's house, and I asked him to do this for us, and he says, Brian, I don't do public speaking. I'm a baseball player, and he talked me off of it. I got home, and I looking through my cards, and I said, Ed Armbruster. I went back to Mr. Dreesen's house, and I said, hey, Mr. Dreesen, do you know Ed Armbruster? And he says, yeah, he was my best buddy. I said, there was some talk about things that y'all did back in the day, but I'm going to ask you a question point blank, and his wife's sitting to the right of me. I'm going to ask you a question. I said, do you think you can talk to the kids that I have coming down for this Dixie baseball season? Absolutely. Why don't you and I go outside and we'll have a talk. But Mr. Dreesen was a great man.
Bet.
But the Cincinnati Reds, give me your favorite moment.
Oh, man. I was pretty young. I mean, I just love. Yeah, I remember that I loved watching the middle infield. That's when I decided I wanted to be a middle infielder. Watching those two turn the double play, and then nothing gets up the middle on those guys. So
Well, Joe Morgan and Davey Concepcion.
I loved it. I grew up being Davey Concepcion.
You know that Pete Rose was just officially inducted into the Cincinnati Hall of Fame this season. Yes, they finally. At least he got inducted into a Hall of Fame.
Right.
I mean,
Won
that's
'em.
part, and he did his little thing out on the field where he did his little kicking through the base, and people went nuts at the stadium. But I figured you get a kick out of it. Yeah, officially he was voted into the Cincinnati Hall of Fame.
Interesting.
Well, that's good for Pete. He probably paid off a lot of people to get into that Cincinnati Hall. I mean, I'm just saying.
I knew that one wasn't going to get by.
You say that, but you go back, he was just the one that got cut.
Yeah, absolutely, he
I
was.
mean, and that's the sad fact is half the people on that committee that persecuted him and hung him out to dry, they at some point or not, they were even accused of the same thing that he did,
Betting on your own,
Yeah.
on a game that you are a part of and can influence.
or associated with the team.
Bad enough to bet on
Yeah,
another team and
Yeah,
another
yeah.
league and another division, but when you put your own team on the card, that's
well, he voted for him to win.
I get
It doesn't. It doesn't matter.
It does.
It's
No.
sacrosanct.
It doesn't matter. That's sort of like saying.
Best game ever.
That's sort of like saying, Monty and I, we're going out to dinner and we don't claim it. That comes back to bite us.
Right, we-
Speaking of dinner,
Yeah, you owe me. You do owe me some dinners.
I offered Hooters.
But I will claim it. No, I can't do that.
See?
So, see, this is what I got to deal with.
Hey, they
Mr.
might be a sponsor. Let's patron them.
I believe it.
So, growing up, your fondest moment with baseball.
Oh, my personal
Fondest
or,
moment. Yeah, personal. You said you played at William and Mary. It wasn't striking out 3 times in a row, was it?
No, it wasn't that at all. I think believe it or not, none of them have. I remember the Red Sox home run being waved, waved fair. I remember Joe Carter's home run for Toronto in the World Series. Okay. That was an amazing. So it seemed like big moments. And I tell you, Pam and I were in New York, and we were just randomly picking games. And we were at the Friday night game, I believe it was, that Roger Clemens got his 4,000th strikeout and 300th win.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it rained, and we were under the overpass, so we didn't get wet, and it rained all night.
Yeah.
He changed uniforms every inning.
Wow.
He had 9 uniforms.
The weight on the arm.
Yes. But so that was just a spectacular moment to be a part of. And it was just completely random.
I can imagine that. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we do have Delegate Monty Mason in the studio with Adam and Brian. We're going to take a short break to go do some commercials. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of the Olympics.
Okay, good.
We got some things about the Olympics we want to talk about. We're also going to continue talking about something that we can embarrass Delegate Mason on before his senatorial bid. You are listening to this 740 AM Sports Roundup. And we are back after that short commercial break.
It keeps us on our toes.
Adam's talking about getting sponsors, and I'm still waiting. So obviously in my profession, I'm not allowed to go out and solicit campaign donations. But we are going to hopefully have a sponsor soon, so we will get a little bit more of a break during the commercial. But I have to say, the Olympics, Adam and I had these conversations about the Olympics. When it was announced their president was under investigation for fraud and money laundering, and she was ousted. Then you looked at the conditions of the folks living in the city of Rio de Janeiro, and we were like, wow, they're really going to have the Olympics there. Are they going to be ready?
Right.
Not only were they ready, they provided us with a great show. I thought this was one of the best overall Olympics that I've ever seen. However, not a lot of people went to the Olympics. We watched it,
right,
but we did not go and enjoy it as in-house. There were a lot of empty seats.
You mean a lot of Americans didn't travel?
Just in general. But it was also one of the most expensive Olympics to attend ever. So, I mean, you got to take that into consideration. You're in Rio. Their economy is on the decline. You're going to pay more to go sit in a stadium that's starting to crumble. I mean, let's be honest. It's not the, you think of Olympics, you think of what the best the world has to offer, stadiums as well as athletes. Rio did a phenomenal job with what they were able to do, but the pricing was so expensive for people to attend that I think it was up from last year. It was like some astronomical percentage increase.
Yeah. And then, we had the Americans.
Leach.
The bleached Americans. You got the Lochties and the Solos,
Leach Shady.
You are a politician, and you have to always understand how to speak and what to say.
Right.
What is going on with our athletes where we always have to say, "Ooh, that was cringeworthy"?
Yeah, and a lot of times I say, hey, what you have to remember about these athletes is how young they are.
Oh yeah.
You see an NFL player make a stupid comment, and you don't remember he's 21, 22, 23.
If that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
When Steve Smith did something stupid in Charlotte, and a doctor wrote a letter to the owner and said, Jerry Richardson, I'm canceling it. This is not the kind of thing that I want my kids to see. So he has to have lunch with them. They met at McDonald's. Steve Smith played with his son in the playground the whole time, and it dawned on the doctor, wow, he's a kid.
Yeah.
But, in the Lochte Solo situation, that's really not the case.
Nope.
No.
They've been around. They've seen the heightened scrutiny. They've been under the microscope, and it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because you get tired of listening to coaches and athletes give the canned phraseology and just the Bill Belichick answers, right? But then you realize when they step out and tell it like it is, they get excoriated.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, not that again, not the situation here, because these, Solo's tweet was just
Stupid.
Yeah.
Even if you knew what she was trying to say, it's just
But it seemed this year that it was, you look at all the countries with what was said, translations and things like that. America really took it with just dumb things that they said and did.
Well, it was only 2 people that said did two dumb
Well, you
things.
had a couple. The young lady that did the fencing. She
I don't
made
know.
the comments about law enforcement, and
Well,
that, and then
she-
next
yeah.
round she got knocked out, and then you had. I mean, there was 3 or 4 of them, but man,
But that was-
those were the 2 big ones.
What you got to understand, when you're an American athlete, you're going to be scrutinized more
Yeah.
than any other athlete. But what Hope Solo, at 35 years old, okay, last year was a misdemeanor beating up her nephew and her sister-in-law. The year before that, it was her having a fight with her boyfriend who plays football. I mean, at some point, you have to grow up. Lochte, I don't know what he was thinking about. We
I
got
think he was
cameras.
embarrassed.
We got cameras all
Sure.
over the place. But you know what? He was embarrassed, but he's very smart. He got out of Rio so quick. I mean, he's tweeting, "Hey, fellas, I hope it's all good for you because I'm already home." I mean,
and have they released the other 2 yet?
yeah, they paid their
they
bond.
just- I mean, Americans like to tear their heroes down now too.
Yeah,
But
Exactly.
unfortunately, here we are with an Olympics that had some spectacular United States moments.
Right.
And look where we start.
right.
Yep.
We start.
What are we talking about?
We start at the headline. We start at what you see in the newspapers. We don't you don't get to Michael Phelps yet, right?
But
you
is
don't
that
get to the
because-
age of our beach volleyball players?
Yes.
I mean, the guy. I mean, the
But
guy
what
was like
sells
40.
what sells headlines?
No.
That's what it comes back to is it. I think it's more the fact that the media today is looking for that wow.
Well, it's
factor,
a great
or that oh.
It's a great segue because there is one person that we have not mentioned who I thought was the epitome of America, and that was Clarissa Shields from Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
She won her 2nd gold medal. She was boxing. The situation that's going on in Flint with the water, she is a part of that, and she is trying to promote and be a better role model and a better person. Her life has taken so many twists and turns to this point, and she is out there epitomizing what hard work is all about.
Toughness.
So much love to Clarissa Shields. Now,
Well, women's gymnastics.
Oh,
just
I was going there next. I was going there next.
Wow.
Before you don't forget the great moment on the track that the American runner stopped and picked up the other runner
That-
who
you know
was
what?
hurt and said, "You got to finish."
That's
You're here to finish."
probably the moment that sticks with me throughout these Olympics. We didn't win, but it's not always about that when it comes to those situations. She had she had the time. She could have won that if you look at the times before leading into that race.
Right.
And she stopped and she helped a fellow human, and and that's
beyond
everything.
sportsmanship.
Yes.
That's just.
Well, that's what the Olympics embodies. It's about sportsmanship, and this is why I have a problem with the professional athlete being a part of and associated with the Olympics.
Yeah.
You got the NBA basketball team living on a yacht. There's
Yeah.
there's 14 guys on a 90-foot cruiser,
Good
and
work,
I'm
you can get
sitting there. I'm sitting there like, well, what do they have? Triple suites or something?
But I did like them showing up and cheering on the other team.
That-
They were
yeah.
fired up
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it, right? They were fired up in there. And we just talked about age. I mean, these women's gymnastics are kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if you ever expected somebody to fall apart a bit but getting beat up on social media and we watched it closely because my girls enjoy
Yeah.
gymnastics. They're 8
Right.
and 6, right? But if you think about it, some of these ladies aren't much older, right?
Exactly.
But the physicality of the routines was something that I didn't remember, and maybe I just hadn't paid that much attention.
Oh no, you're right.
But that floor
wow.
exercise, I mean, she is up in the air doing huge flips and bam! I mean, hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we comment on the athlete of today versus the athlete of yesterday. So if you look at Nadia Comaneci in 76, 76, and then you look at Biles and Allie of today, they're the same stature, but these young ladies today are put together a little bit differently than what we had back in our day, Monty. Because I don't want to date you in age,
man.
but you class of '89.
Yeah, I am.
Guess what?
I'm old.
We brothers, man. No, we both old. We both old. We both old. I mean, even though I was class of '89, I didn't graduate till '90. I had a little problem.
Well,
anyway,
well, but think of the different nutritional standards, the different weight trainings, the different it's the full deal
full Monty.
now.
Yeah, full Monty. There we go.
full
not,
Monty.
not that they didn't train and still work, 20 hours a day back then.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
They don't have the regime they do now.
Or I would doubt the training meals.
You have meals
The
specifically
sophistication.
made. I mean, have you watched? I watched that train with. We'll go back to pro athletes now. The masks, the running, the IVs just work. I mean,
Hyperbaric chambers.
it has changed.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why'd you go to pro athletes? There's kids 8 years
because
old
I
doing
don't.
that.
Well, no, I know, but I know
I mean,
for a
seriously,
fact that they do.
You
but
know, being a football quarterback, your father treated you like Todd Marinovich. You were in that hyperbaric chamber.
Poor Todd.
No.
You hold on now. Let me finish. You didn't eat McDonald's till you were 32. I know, because your wife told me. You were all about it, and then all of a sudden, when you found McDonald's, you got body by Bud.
He ended up.
I mean, that's how it works.
it was the ice baths, and but no, it is. Like you look back at Mary Lou Retton and all of those Olympians. Even they were on the other day saying, just since they were in. It's a completely different world.
Sure.
Okay. Well, we're gonna roll into our next break, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk a little bit of Washington Wizards basketball because there's something I have to say.
Washington.
Basketball.
I know there's something I have
Who
to
are
say. There's something I have to say
Is that
about
still
that.
going on?
I do want to talk about the New York Yankees and what they have done, and any other topics because there's some interesting things going on. You are listening to WMBG AM 740 Sports Roundup. And you are back listening to 740 WMBG Sports Radio with Brian and Adam and our special guest, Delegate Monty Mason, 93rd District,
Yes, sir.
until November 21st because it gets certified on that day. But you are running for the state senate on November 8th,
Yes, sir.
which also gets certified that day, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the rumor has it that you are going to take out this palatial campaign office in James City County. So,
And I heard that WMBG is going to be the head station running it.
That's right.
yeah.
These plans are all coming together.
Just like Brian, I'll take care of it for you. Don't worry about it.
Well, Delegate Mason, your district does encompass James City County, Williamsburg, but it does also encompass Newport News. So we do understand the dynamics of your political race. So we do wish you all the best. But as we move into our next segment, I got a statement that I got to say, and I want you two to think about the statement and tell me what your thoughts are. John Wall makes about $14 million a year. He plays point guard for the Washington Wizards, which I think should still be called the Bullets. And Bradley Beal is his sidekick. They call John Wall Batman. Bradley Beal does not like being called Robin. They call John Wall 1, Bradley Beal 1A. Comment from Bradley Beal. Sometimes I think we both lose sight of the fact that we need each other, Beal told the network. We don't like each other on the court. If you're spending, Washington Wizards, over $22 million a year for these two players, what do you do?
He said they don't like each other on the court or just period?
They don't hang out.
don't
And typically, I play basketball.
Honestly?
Hold on now. I play basketball in college. I mean, the guys that I liked, I hung out with.
Right.
The guys, there was never anybody on the court I didn't like because I was never losing sight to win the game. So,
Who cares what he likes and
hold
doesn't
on.
like?
Well, hold on. Well, hey, you know what? It does matter for the Wizards because last year they were supposed to be in the playoffs, and they didn't make it. And the East stunk last year, right?
They didn't make it last year.
So when you hear $22 million and you are the owner of a team, what do you think about that?
If it's that big of an issue, then you get somebody else. I'll be honest. I mean, you don't have to like. There's so many times in sports, there were people that I played with all the way from pro down. I hated. and I'll be honest, that's a strong word.
It's a very
I
strong
wouldn't
word.
cross the road for some of them, but you know what? Amazing athletes, and when they were open, I got them the ball because I knew that they would perform. Doesn't mean I have to like the guy, but it means that I'm going to do everything I can on that court to win the game.
Well, and they're professionals. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you've worked with people that you did not like, but they
All
did
day
their,
long.
They did their job well, and and if you were professional about it and they were professional about it, you could still accomplish the same things. But it's hard to take a game, any game that relies on chemistry,
Yeah.
and say, I don't like this person, because what do you immediately think? You immediately think, does he hit him when he is open, or does he
Right.
force a shot because
Yeah.
he
Right.
wants to get
And
his
whose
stats
fault?
up?
Right.
And it's the statistical versus,
But you hit the most important thing, professionalism. That seems to have been lost in sports anymore.
And I'm glad you went there, because in basketball I see it less and less. I see less of a professional athlete. You made a comment, Delegate Mason, regarding Steve Smith playing out in the parking lot with a kid because he just didn't have the capacity to understand that he's now an adult.
Maturity.
These young men, $22 million, a lot of money, haven't figured it out yet. And the reason being, and I'm going to tell you this, John Wall, 1 year at Kentucky. Bradley Beal, I think, was 2 or 3 years, and he was out. They didn't get, and I'm going back to Jess Kersey,
Yeah.
the fundamentals of one, basketball, and two, to be on a team and not be the superstar of a team.
It's no longer team. It's me. I, or us. Like Jess Kersey said, it's each person has an integral part to play on that court.
I'm going to go back to a high school game I had. We were playing in Montclair, New Jersey. We were playing Chatham Township, and the head coach at that time, it was my sophomore year in high school. I was a point guard. Told me, you don't shoot, you give the ball to Ronnie Simpson, and he's going to get a school record, which is still there, 69 points in one game.
wow.
All right? I shot 8 times. I made 8 shots, and I did not play in the second half because I refused to give him the ball unless he was wide open. I didn't want to come down. I said, because that, to me, broke the continuity and the integrity of the basketball game. That was my last starting position for that year.
Huh.
All right? I didn't play the second half. I was the second leading scorer. He got his 70 points. I had 16, and my coach basically sat me down for the remainder of the season. I sat on the bench. As a sophomore, I started every game until he went in my face, and I just looked at him and said, why can't he do that against Newark Eastside?
I was about to
Right?
say, I don't like the message you're sending.
We played Newark Eastside. We're down 30 at half, and I'm chuckling on the end of the bench, and the coach said, you think you're going to do better? You go in the game. I said, no problem. By the time we got to, I would say, the fourth quarter, we're down 3. All right? He puts him back in the game, and guess what happens?
You lose.
We lost. It's all good. But and what I'm saying is that the athlete, the star, is trumped up to do these types of things. And when you have 2 stars that can't gel, you have a significant problem. And the Wizards, at $22 million a year, I mean, I would love to be Batman. I would love to be Robin at $14 million a year. What do you think, sir?
I bet Jess Kersey could give you a laundry list of teams that the unit was so good that they were much better than, as well as an even longer list
Right.
of superstars who wanted to come in and get their triple-double every
Right.
night. And that was first and foremost on their mind. And which teams do you think got ahead? And which team? I tell you, it's not going to be a lot of ball to go around out in Sacramento next year.
You mean in Golden State?
Golden State.
You mean Golden
Yeah.
State? It's all right. Yeah,
Sacramento.
yeah.
Plenty of ball to go
There's
around.
plenty of ball
Sacramento.
there.
But it goes
Golden
back to,
State.
you don't have these issues when it comes to baseball. Baseball, everyone's like, it's an individual sport. No, baseball is a team sport. That is probably the closest thing in sports right now that we still truly have next to soccer. I think you don't see as much of it in soccer as you do, but baseball is a sport because you're counting on that person at bat to get where it needs to be.
I disagree with you, man. You gonna tell me Reggie Jackson's gonna bunt with a open base? He's not gonna bunt.
Well, we'll tell you what you do.
Is he gonna bunt?
If
no.
you're up 9 runs, you don't steal.
No.
No,
If you're up
Yep.
9 runs, you don't bunt.
Yep.
If you're up 9 runs and somebody hits one to the wall, you hold the guy at third.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you don't rub people's face in it in baseball. Maybe because you got to look down the barrel of a 99-mile-an-hour fastball.
Exactly.
The next
Yeah,
guy.
it's-
Maybe that'll change it. Hey,
know,
let's just start throwing
might be a
basketballs
little
at
bit
people's heads.
Might be a little reasoning there, but you know, you don't do that in baseball.
No.
Well,
It's a sportsmanship.
It is, but you know, I found that quote to be
It's embarrassing.
yeah, because
Even if it's true, you don't say it.
no, and that's another thing. How do you have enough gall to say that about a teammate? That's behind closed doors. Look, guy, we got to get this together. I don't like the way you play. You don't like the way I play. How can we get better as a unit? Because we're stuck with each other. NBA contracts aren't traded.
No.
Right.
I mean, because there's a cap.
Right. You got it.
You got it. So why would they even think that they are above the fold to be able to say that?
Why would you as your marketing or your agent let your guys say that?
Well,
That's my question.
Yeah, and again, you know,
And who knows when he said it and
Yeah.
where, and maybe it was, you know, I don't know.
And there could have been more to it.
But
no, there wasn't. I
Oh.
listened to it. I'm telling you right now. He said it on the sports show for Washington Wizards at CSN.
Well, that's the problem. It's the Washington Wizards.
But it doesn't matter. I mean,
he
just
went
saying-
on the show knowing full well he was being interviewed.
Oh, yeah,
He just
yeah,
brought
Yeah,
it up.
you just
Exactly.
can't do that.
I don't
You just
like
can't
it.
do that. But you know, sportsmanship is being lost within the sports in all realms. I hear you say that about baseball and soccer's got their prima donnas as well. Basketball has their as well.
It's an
And again,
entitlement.
It is an entitlement community, and I don't believe we should have Olympic athletes that are professionals. But who am I? I'm just a guy running James City County some days.
So let me ask you a question then, since we've got to go here pretty soon for the break. Golf, professionals. Golf had always up till recently been, was in there. They're professional athletes. Do they fall under the same category as pro athletes? Like your football, your basketball, and
Well, I think, you know what? Let's not talk about that right now. We'll go to our break and come back and flush that out because I have some interesting comments for that. You are listening to the Sports Roundup on WMBG AM 740. And we are back here on WMBG 740 AM, and my son is calling me for whatever reason. So, Adam, please take it.
he's probably saying, "Dad, talk football."
That's right.
So he just
Dad, do you know it's football season?
It is, and I'm excited. Hold it. We were just talking about your boy.
Barcavius Mingo.
Excited, super excited on
I just
that.
love that name.
I know.
That's a great linebacker name.
Yeah, well, he was 2014 first round draft pick for the Browns. Hey, Ohio, go Bucks! Hey, you told me to take over. That's your fault. But no.
Well, hold on
and
a second.
he gets
hold on
traded
a second.
for a
hold on.
fifth round draft
Hold on
pick.
a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm back. So let's talk about Bartavius Mingo. Now, you did say you wanted to talk about Bartavius Mingo.
I like his
I
name.
just like his name. Barcavius.
Yes.
Barcavius.
Well, the football I want to talk about,
No,
Lafayette opens his season on September. Come on now.
September Thursday.
I think it's next Thursday. This Thursday
First.
coming.
Yes,
Yeah, the
it's
first.
the
Hey,
Memorial Day
my-
weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
Or
Shout
Labor
out
Day
to
weekend.
my big man and classmate Andy Lynn at William and Mary. who
Oh,
has
don't!
done
Oh!
a spectacular job.
You just opened a can of worms.
No can of worms. And I got to
There's
give Andy
sir.
Lynn a big shout out as
Yeah.
well. He took his kids to Lafayette High School last Saturday, cleaned up the high school, mulched the high school, got all the leaves up. All about the community, all about making sure that his kids understand that there is a role model in them.
Yeah,
He's a real deal.
he
Yeah.
is. And do you know that when he's here, he's not the oldest in the room.
I
Yes,
bet.
he is.
Well, so over at the Golden,
Yes, he is.
Over at the Golden Horseshoe, somebody said, "Well, you and Andy were classmates." Wow, I thought you were a lot older than he was.
Oh, don't these two when these
sure,
two
thanks a lot.
when those two get together, it's like we can spend an entire segment talking about who's older and who's not and their trips and
Well, I
No,
tell
he's
you,
a great
Speaking of
guy.
faces for
He's
radio.
great. He's great. And Jamestown will play on that
I'm
Friday.
excited.
So we're going to get some coaches in here to talk a little bit about
Yes.
our local
And
high school
another
sports.
classmate of mine, Danny Dobson's the head coach down in Woodside.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So we got William Mary Class 89 folks all over the Virginia Peninsula.
But that says a
coaching our
lot.
young men. It's-
That says a lot because, as you know, coming from coaching and stuff, you know, when you get into areas like this, you don't see that a lot. You know, when I came from Ohio, you had Kent, Akron, all those universities. A lot of the coaches came from southern states that have either come up or went away for college and came back. Right. But I like what's significant about here is William and Mary, you know, plays a very integral part of the sports and athletics within James City County.
Well, I got it. We were talking. We have to talk a little bit about football. And there is one other than Mr. Mingo. What's going on with your Ohio State boy, Joey Bosa? Why can't he sign on the dotted line, huh?
That doesn't look pretty.
You know what it is? I really don't think he wants to be with the Chargers. Because there's
who wants to be with the Chargers?
you know, but that's reminiscent. That's happened in the past where you've had athletes or athletes in
Manning.
yeah, and look how that turned out for him.
Well, you know what
But he ain't Eli Manning.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
Eli Manning, but you know what the controversy is? San Diego wants to give him a signing bonus, but they don't want to give it all to him until March.
Yeah,
And
They're going to pay him by the end of the year.
but here's
if
the
he
deal.
stays healthy.
No, but here's the deal. He's a number 1 pick, number 3 overall.
Yeah.
He will not be cut unless he gets hurt or he's a total bust.
But you said gets hurt, and he's coming off that senior year on and off all season with injuries. But I still think I don't get that. If any of that group or that class, I would have gone with Ezekiel Elliott, with Dallas holding out to see what he can get. But at this point, it's detrimental to the Chargers to keep letting this progress.
Well, absolutely it is. I mean, here's the situation. You're the number 3 pick. You will not get cut unless you're injured, all right? And even if you do get injured, it has to be the end of the road. Guess what he has? He has a life insurance policy.
Yeah.
So take that out of the mix. Or he gets cut because he just really sucks.
Or-
and they made a bad choice.
It's not going to happen.
Hold on. He'll make more money than he has ever made just by signing. He will be rich soon as he signs. San Diego needs to understand that they do not need another Eli Manning.
No.
They have a new stadium coming on board, and they're acting like a bunch of bullies. So, in my view, pay the man his money.
Yep.
Pray he doesn't get hurt. If he does,
He gets it either way.
He's going to get it no matter what.
But you want this guy going into the season happy. Because I will tell you, but then again, it could be the third option that you didn't cover, which is what he got in trouble for his senior year at Ohio State 1 or 2 times with substances.
Really?
You know, they would never come out and say what substance it was.
So, Adam, are you telling me he's not clean right now? Is that why he doesn't want to sign?
I'm
Tell me
not saying
something.
that. I'm not saying that, but
I mean, you put it out there. I'm just asking.
well, that you gave the option, so I'm saying that could be a third option.
No, you gave the option.
Well, I
so
gave
what
the
do you
third
know?
option.
What do you know about Ohio State football? You tell me they're not clean out there?
No,
Up
they're
there?
clear. See how he pins people.
I always feel like it's bad form for the
It
player.
is.
You know, and especially a young player who wants to mold and to be a part of a team.
Yep.
To stand out, and it's hard to not appear as it's me. And you know, hey, look, it's contract. It's your livelihood. We just talked about it's your profession. But I thought the coach, Mike McCoy, handled it outstandingly well today. He just said, look, we need him in here. We want him in here.
Get him in
We
here.
are going to accept him when he comes in here because we're going to be a better football team with
Right.
him in here. So I thought he tried to diffuse what seemed to be a really bad situation.
Now,
But you
is
know,
it
they're all
Bosa?
slotted. They're all slotted positions. So the
Yeah.
number 1,
But
number
you know-
2, number 3, you know what you're going to make.
it seems like they
so-
offered him the
but-
top shelf.
But my question is it Bosa or is it his agent?
No, it's neither. He wants his signing bonus
Now.
now. That's all it is. So typically you have concessions made, one or the other. The San Diego is not giving them anything. They're,
Okay.
Well, I thought they offered like 60-70% up front. And
But
then the
but
rest
he
by the
wants
end
it.
of the
He
year.
by the end
wants-
but he wants
But
it.
that's pretty good.
But he should
concession,
have it.
You know? And
I
by the way,
mean-
how much money are we talking about up front? 60% of $14-17 million.
Yeah,
or
something like
we're,
that.
we're
Okay.
talking a
We're
lot
talking
of money.
That might
upwards of
get
20.
you. That might get me to Christmas, Brian.
Yeah.
60
But
you know,
but
my-
Bosa's not known for for being an easy person either.
Really?
You know, he's very Look at you dropping mics. It's not that time yet.
No,
But no, I mean, I think there needs to be a little bit of concession on both ends on this one.
Well, the way I look at life is it's quite simple. Joey Bosa, you need to play football to ensure that you have funding for the rest of your life.
And no one will want you.
And if you continue to hold out, every game you miss, that's money you can't get back. Now, if you didn't want to do training camp, I understand. You have 2 more weeks to sign.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is the player always loses in the court of public opinion because of the gargantuan numbers that we're talking about to play a game.
You're absolutely correct.
I mean,
and you're putting your life on the line. I mean, you talk about the changes in the athlete.
Yeah.
Even though the technology has made it tougher, but the old helmets they used to play with, were not nearly as protective. So, so there is an element to your long-term health here.
Well, look at his long-term career, though. You hold out, and you're doing this for a team that wants you here. What happens when they dump you? What's the rest of the NFL? Oh man, look how difficult he was. Just getting him to sign. And that I'm not saying it will, but it could have an impact. In the long run with him.
You know what? This is immaterial. You're going to get a signing bonus of $16 million. Right. All right.
Just give him his money.
Hold on a second. I'm looking at the 4 people in this studio. We ain't making $16 million. All right. In our lifetime, combined, we're not making $16 million. No. So what are we really talking about? We're talking about the fact that, like you said, Adam, he does not want to play for San Diego, or when he gets there, he can't play because he's going to be doing something that looks orange as opposed to a normal color.
Yeah.
And I always say I think it's bad for him and it's bad for the athlete, but you know what? We forget about this stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Week 8, week 10, he has 2 or 3 sacks. He's everybody's favorite man in San Diego.
He's the man.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, San Diego, though, hasn't forgotten about Eli because he's got 2 Super Bowl rings since.
He does, but, in all honesty, I'll take Phillip Rivers any day of the week over Eli Manning in a heartbeat.
I think you are sick. You're a sick person. I mean, something's wrong with you.
Look at the intercept. Look at look at the team difference. You've got when Eli won that, his supporting cast. I honestly believe receiver depth core.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
Did Eli win it in San Diego?
No.
He was in New York.
That's what I'm saying. But
that's not what you're saying.
You can't compare the two.
Phillip Rivers wouldn't last in New York. What's wrong with you?
I'm a Phillip Rivers fan. I think statistically speaking, he is a better statistical quarterback.
That's the problem with you being a commentator because you can't be unbiased.
That's tough.
Coming from a quarterback.
Well, a third-string quarterback. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to WMBG 740 Sports Roundup. It has been my pleasure for having Adam Richards as well as Delegate Monty Mason as our guest today. We are looking forward to many more guests in the future. Again, WMBG 740 Sports Roundup. We will see you next Thursday at 6 p.m.